Okay, and it says we're live, but we'll give it just a moment here for it to come through on the video feed. Stand by, folks, if you're
All
here.
right.
Okay, I see us. I see my lips moving. That's good. Okay, and we're gonna give YouTube
Yeah.
give YouTube just a moment here to send out notifications if it's going to. Hey, so it looks like we got Carpe Diem in here already. Good to see you.
Uh,
Welcome. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and get rolling about a minute through. So.
okay.
All right, and welcome to this very special Liberty Under Attack Publications live stream. I'm your host and founder of LA Publications, Shane Radliff. Now, I'm hoping attendance is good, but I was made aware that the Boogaloo might be occurring today. It appears that has, as protesters, I'll put protesters in quotes, arrived at Area 51 this morning. And unless there's something that I didn't see on YouTube from these live streams, it seemed a little less dramatic than what we were promised. But anyway, today we release Matthew Wojtecki's brand new book, BRUSHFIRE. I've often said that fiction is one of the best mediums for spreading the message of freedom, in addition to demonstrating how a free society could be built and maintained. Well, BRUSHFIRE is no different. It's another much-needed piece of liberty-oriented fiction. So we'll begin by getting to know Matthew a little bit. We'll introduce the book and talk a bit about the writing process and his motivations for going through all of the grueling effort to write it, because it's not easy. I'll read the first chapter to give you a taste. We'll discuss the libertarian themes found throughout, and then we'll give away a couple copies of the book. So please feel free to drop any questions or comments in the live stream chat. I'll be paying attention to that throughout, and I'm sure Matt will as well. So real quick, though, BRUSHFIRE will be available for pre-order on the LEO website before it goes live on Amazon. It's up right now, actually. And if you do pre-order it before next Friday, September 27th, oh my gosh, iTunes update. Of course, it's going to pop up on the screen now. Anyway, but yeah, if you pre-order before next Friday, September 27th, we'll give you the digital version along with it for free, and you can go ahead and take 10% off your order by using coupon code SELFLIBERATE. Of course, Bitcoin is accepted and preferred. Again, that link is, I guess I didn't give you the link yet, but the link to go purchase that is libertyunderattack.com/brushfire. Again, libertyunderattack.com/brushfire, and the coupon code is self-liberate, and that information will be in the live stream chat. So without further ado, Matt, welcome to welcome to this live stream, and congratulations on the publication of BRUSHFIRE. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Shane. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've been looking forward to this, man. I haven't done a live stream like this before, and also, the book's finally out. You know, it's been we've been working on it for a few months now, at least a few months. I think it's been 5 months we've been working on it. 5 months.
Right.
It's been a long
Just finishing
process,
up.
and but good things take time, and people can see, there at libertyunderattack.com/brushfire. That's a beautiful cover design by Miriam Zachariah. And if you, when you get a physical copy of the book, you'll be able to see. It just came out. It came out great. I'm happy we took the time, to get it done right. And again, congratulations on writing it and getting it done and publishing it, because I released mine last year, and it's not an easy process. It's not at all. So. Yeah, well, a lot of people won't even try to do that. So I do commend you, just for putting forth the effort at all. And yeah, again, congratulations on writing such a good book, in my opinion. So I guess let me take a look back at the live stream real quick. I'll turn it over to you if you have anything momentarily. Oh yeah, looks like we got a few more people in here. Michael's here. Hey everyone. Hey man, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Mike. Yeah. So, yeah. First of all, I definitely agree with you. It has been a very, very long process, and something that Liberty Under Attack was able to help me with, as far as the editing, the publishing, the graphic design, all that is pretty much covered, and definitely worked with me on getting this getting this to print. So it's definitely turned out very well. Like I was speechless when I saw the when I saw the proof copy. So definitely looks good, and really excited get it out there, get the story out there. Um, it's a fiction thriller novel, so actually worked on it for close to 2 years, maybe before pitching it to LUA Pub, and uh, thought it was a really good fit. Shane agreed, and then we decided to kind of move forward with that as far as like the editing, which was as Shane probably knows is is quite a thorough process, or complex, and takes a lot of time to go through it. But I doubt that if you were to try to publish it on your own, or to go out there and get another editor or something, that they would take the same time as LUA has done. So kudos to Shane and LUA.
Good deal. Well, I certainly appreciate that, man. I definitely do. But yeah, it takes time. It takes time, and I made that mistake with my book. I mean, I put it through 6 or 7 proofreaders and editors, but they weren't me.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went back. I went back just to like I guess it would have been like 6 months ago, and I was reading through it, and I found mistakes still. So I mean. Yeah, so hopefully, I'm pretty confident. I'm very happy with how it turned out. So, I guess we'll start kind of. Why don't you start by introducing yourself? Who are you, and what do you do?
Well, yeah. So my name's Matt Wojtecki. I I've been working on this book for a couple years now. I actually have a job here in finance, and just kind of did the book on the side, evenings and weekends, pretty much for a couple years off and on, writing sections here and there. Actually spent a lot of time just like figuring out how I was going to organize the story, and so. There were a lot of times where, I got blocked a few times. Things got busy or whatever, but for the most part, I think, it really, what helped me, I guess, was just like that, getting away from the noise, getting away from all the busyness, getting to somewhere where you can just kind of be with yourself, and have like a good environment to where the thoughts kind of just come to you. So
Hmm.
that kind of, it worked out for me. That's the way I kind of approached it, and so I guess yeah. So basically, yeah, it took quite a while to do that, but for the most part, yeah, that's kind of
Gotcha.
the way my story.
Right. Yeah, and I'm guessing there was because I guess I realized this with one of the books I'm writing right now. That I didn't think I could write fiction, but I just kind of sat down one day and the words
Yeah.
just flew out. So they just flew out of my fingertips, and one day I could write fiction. Was that kind of how it was for you? I mean, do you have any past or any history of writing? What were kind of your motivations and background for writing this?
So I actually did write. I wrote a memoir, maybe 14 years ago, and so that was like about uh, my time in the military. Um, so I figured I wanted to just kind of move on from that. I wanted to see if I could really like kind of tackle the fiction aspect of it. It seemed really enjoyable to me. I think it's something that you just have to kind of that you have to enjoy doing, or else um, it's gonna be pretty hard to write like 300 or 400 pages if you don't, enjoy sitting down and writing a chapter or two here and there. So
Right. Right. Yeah. No. I completely agree. You gotta really want to do it and enjoy it, because the amount of hours that you'll put into it. I mean, you're not gonna.
yeah,
You're. I mean, it's like if you figure in hourly wages, it's probably not going to pan out, in your favor.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of time. You got to just be really really passionate about it and want to do it. Certainly. So I guess let me see here. So yeah, I guess without any spoilers, I guess you want to give the listeners a brief overview or summary of the book, Brushfire.
Yeah, sure. So I can give you just kind of a rundown of what it's about.
Sure.
It's a fiction thriller novel, and it has I try to touch on some very important freedom-minded themes throughout the book. I tried to cycle through a couple different storylines, so just to kind of remain interesting throughout the text. Um, it starts off basically in a small town in Ohio. There's an antiques a guy that works at an antique store, so he sees all this old stuff come in every day. He's kind of like at his 9 to 5 job. He's going back and forth. So it's very, for the most part, in the beginning, it's just kind of laying out how his job is. He goes out for smoke breaks like 5 times a day or something with his buddy. They discuss, hey, like, basically like what you would normally talk to your friend about if were out for a smoke or something. But then I introduce characters along the way. One guy, which I'm sure that you read about, Shane, Barnaby, who is,
Mm-hmm.
I make him a villain, like a real jerk, and so then I kind of use that uh, to make him like the villain or one of the central characters in the story later on. So
Yeah, and he's
um,
a real character.
he is, yeah. So and I kind of use his kind of like his like when the reader automatically, I'm guessing that they're going to hate him, and so hopefully when they hate him, then they're going to identify with him as a villain, and so I kind of use that to express certain themes throughout the book, like a double moral standard of police or law enforcement or something like that. Like that's one common theme that I'm trying to get out there as like a message. The other is like capital punishment. It's a huge theme throughout the book, and just trying to convey like, hey, it may be that this is like rather cruel, and and just to kind of put that out there. Um,
Right. Yeah, and
there's a couple.
I will say on that note on the capital punishment. Yeah, there was I guess some emotional parts there, with in the story, definitely, and yeah, it's certainly
Yeah,
something I think needs to be discussed more. So I'm happy I'm happy that it was included. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interject there.
yeah, yeah. So as far as some of the other characters, I've included some interesting ones. There's this guy Ed in there. He's like if anyone's ever lived in an apartment complex, there's always a guy that he says he's going to fix stuff, but he never does. This guy, he's kind of an older fella. He's always nagging Henry to uh, come over and visit or something because he's kind of lonely. But Henry actually ends up going there and playing cards with him and a bunch of other friends. He meets this other guy, Winston, and Winston's like this rebellious guy that just he does what he wants, and he doesn't really care about what you think. So, um, so Henry meets that guy there, and then Winston basically says, "Hey, I also work at an antique store. Um, it's called the Bomb Shelter. And oh yeah, and by the way, like some of these locations and names or characters are like loosely based off of some people, or may not be based off of some people in real life. I've kind of incorporated personalities of some people I knew. I think that's really at least when I listen to other authors or I read up about how authors try to get a real detailed description of a character, it's always that they've met somebody or they've tried to describe someone in real life or at least a personality of someone. So it's a lot for anyone that's trying to write or do character development. That's a real easy way um, to just kind of develop a character list. Is are there any interesting people that you know in real life, and can you make a story out of it?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
You write what you know. Yep.
yeah,
So.
yeah, and then I mean, pretty much the central part of the story is Henry and how he basically transforms from a just kind of a 9 to 5 employee at the antique store to now meeting Winston and kind of waking up and realizing that, hey, like the world which I live in is probably not as free as I once thought it was. And maybe for a lot of people that are even on this call or that are listening, we are kind of familiar with that. We know what that's like, and so I wanted to try to capture that as best I could um, in like as little pages as I could. So obviously, for some of us, it took years. I know for me, it took uh, you know 10 or 15 years or something to just kind of realize that may not be the case,
Hmm.
in real life. Um, but yeah, like in the book, I think one easy way to do that would be to insert some kind of an item that somebody finds. Maybe like, for example, in The Matrix, they he meets Morpheus, and then you realize that he's not really living, like his world is not the way it's supposed to be. So in this story, it's Henry, and he finds a book in a shipment that Winston sent him, and it ends up changing the way he thinks about the world. So, um, yeah, that's like the main part of the story. And then, like I said, I have like several like sub stories throughout just to kind of keep it interesting. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. So I guess let's talk a little bit more about the libertarian themes that are there. So we've talked about capital punishment, the death penalty. Was there anything else you wanted to add there? I mean, it's like I said. I mean, it's something that needs to be discussed more. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's really not discussed that much. And I mean, it is. And I think throughout the United States, it's not really done that much anymore, is it? I know it's done in some places. There was an innocent guy in Texas that was just executed. I think it was.
yeah.
Yeah, good.
No, I was just gonna say I think that if it even if it's done very rarely, it's still that probability that there might be someone innocent,
Right.
put to death, and even if the person's guilty and it's especially heinous crime, like it's still kind of a shitty way of taking care of justice, just in my opinion. So
Right, and it's the state deciding that, right?
yeah,
It's not a victim. It's not actual true restitution or true justice. It's just Yeah, I guess it's just the state getting rid of somebody that's bad for society, and it's not. I mean that's kind of the way that they see it, but at the same time, it's not like it's not true justice. It's not. There's no restitution to the victim. I guess maybe the victim might see that as justice, and maybe it could work out in some cases, um, but it still doesn't matter, right? Because they probably weren't consulted in the decision. So um, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, what I did was I did some research on some of these drugs that they use to for lethal injections, and apparently there's one drug that they ran out of at some point, and this actually happened. Like they ran out of a drug and they had to smuggle in some other drug. It's it sounds really shady, but it actually happened.
really,
Um, and like another like some of the drugs that they were using like were supposed to stop the heart right away and never really did. So it's like the person took like 15 minutes to die. So that's kind of what I wanted to capture in a few chapters of the book. Um, there is a there's also a yeah. So that's when I introduced Sid, who is like he's like a very nervous, kind of like a legal assistant that works in a like as like maybe a clerk or like a law somewhere in like a government type of job. And so like he if somebody tells him to do something, he usually does it. He's just sort of a that type of person. He's very like unsure of himself. He like has a lot of anxiety. And then something inside him like made him just like stand up against what was happening, and he kind of had an idea that this guy was innocent, and so he just kind of he said, "Hey, I'm going to protest this. Like I'm not going to do this because it's wrong. No matter how many people do it with me, that's not going to absolve the fact that it's still immoral, and I think that it's not right. So I'm not going to do it." Pretty much. So.
right. Right. Yeah. It's a great it's a great little side story in there for sure. It definitely is. And it looks like we have a couple other commenters. Damien Matrix reference, nice. Yep. There's definitely a Matrix reference. Guy that comments, as much as I hate to say it, but sentencing is arbitrary even when it comes to violent and property crime. Yeah, that's true. It's arbitrary. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything government does is arbitrary, right? It's all fiat.
Yeah.
Anyway. Anyway, I guess there's another thing you touch upon that's touched upon quite a bit, at least in the second half of the book. Once some certain events happen, but there's security culture is a pretty major focus of the book. Now, technically, that isn't a libertarian theme, but a purely libertarian theme rather.
Okay.
But sure, yeah. Tell us a bit about the security culture practiced in the book.
Yeah. So, like that a little easier to me since I'm a big fan of security culture. So I did try to incorporate encryption and coding and that sort of thing throughout the book. Basically, some of the privacy tools that I used, like in the book, once well, and I guess like you'll just have to read it to find out like at what point Henry decides to go on the run. Basically, he's eventually going to become a fugitive, and the cops are going to chase after him. So he's going to have like he meets up with a sort of a freedom cell basically, and so they're very strong into the security culture, mainly coding using PGP, some encrypted messagings in there, some even some crypto mining. I added that in there too, and also like use of IRC chat rooms to just kind of get lay of the land of what's going on within decentralized networks. So
Right.
um,
Right, and
those are
yeah,
a couple
I
of
love
things.
I love to see. I mean, obviously, like we offer a hashtag Agora too, and like there really aren't that many books out there that that have like that really super second realm kind of security culture in there. So I always love to see that with use of ghost pads and cryptocurrencies and
Yeah.
things like it's not really a common narrative. So. Yeah, and again, it's as I said in the beginning, as I've said many times before. Fiction is a great way because a lot of times these tools are very complex. They're hard to understand. There's a lot of there's a lot of moving parts, and sometimes you guys spend a lot of time, multiple years. Like for me with Bitcoin, it's taken multiple years to really like start to figure this thing out. So like with a fiction book, like with Brushfire, you can show like how these tools
Mm.
work together and how individuals can actually utilize them. Whether it's encrypted messaging or PGP or cryptocurrencies or whatever other aspect of crypto anarchy. So yeah, definitely props on adding that one in. There certainly needs to be more of it. And I want to mention here real quick before I turn it back over to you, Matthew. For anyone new to the stream or I guess joined late, the book is now up and for sale for pre-order on the Liberty Under Attack website. Just go to libertyunderattack.com/brushfire, and if you pre-order it before September 27th, that's next Friday, you'll get a free digital copy of the book along with it, and I'll go ahead and give you 10% off your order too. Use coupon code SELFLIBERATE, and of course, Bitcoin is accepted and preferred. I guess was there anything else you wanted to speak to when it comes to the crypto anarchy? I know there was there was obviously the high tech encryption, but there's also low tech encryption too. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So there was a section in the book where so when so Henry and his girlfriend Max, they meet up with the Freedom Cell, and uh, so they actually, some of the guys there use a like a low tech coding method where you basically choose a book or some kind of a book. Like in this case, it would have been Human Action, uh, like the Human Action book, just because I wanted to just put that in there so that like if you buy my book and you're curious as to how it's decoded, you have to buy a copy of Human Action. So
Yep.
like
Start them down the rabbit hole and
so
not
basically,
and add a good point. Like a lot of people say don't start with human action, but I think that's what I did.
yeah,
I think it's a good route to go. Just dive in head first and figure out things as you go. Yeah.
yeah. And so I mean, not that I would recommend that to a first timer or anything. Like it would take you like 2 years to read probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically, you would the code. This is how it works: is you flip to a page. The page number is and then there's a dot, and then there's another section or a number. So that number is like uh, the indicates where the letter is that you should add next. So then basically this freedom cell basically decodes where the next location is that they are meeting. So they have, obviously in the book, I sort of allude to the fact that they have several decentralized locations. None of them are pretty much known to anyone except for a couple people, and so that for obvious reasons. And so the coding method, you know, the guy drives up to a random black mailbox and finds a code which only he knows how to understand using this book that he has. So
Right.
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, and I think that's something again that I think people need to think about. In situations, where where something has to remain private, where it has to be super strong, low tech encryption. Well, you could always come up with a method like that, where, yeah, it's not hard to decrypt once you have the key to it. But if you just see those numbers and there's a bookshelf with a bunch of different books, what are the chances that they're gonna make those connections anyway? So low tech encryption, I think, and Kyle Reardon has talked about this before, but low tech encryption is often underutilized when it still works, right? If you
Yeah.
need something that works, you can still use low tech. Doesn't have to be digital.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I guess along those same lines, along the same lines of security culture and crypto anarchy, I guess there was some privacy techniques used throughout the book. Do you want to speak to a couple, some of those, if you haven't mentioned any of them already?
Uh, Privacy techniques like just some of the higher tech.
Sure. Yeah. Like give us some
Um,
examples of maybe some things that the characters maybe that the characters use or something along those lines.
yeah, sure. So there's one method that I'm sure has been mentioned on the Vanu podcast, the PGP encryption, and this is still a pretty sound method of encrypting emails, and even some of the providers now use PGP. I think Proton Mail uses PGP, but you can basically they give you you have a public key, and then you can give that to anyone. You could put it out on your website or wherever, and then only only the person with a private key can decode the message. So uh, I used that one time, just like when they were meeting up, or when they were when they wanted to rendezvous at a future date. Then Henry was given a phone with a PGP, messaging capability, and so this allowed him to, pretty much evade the authorities. Uh, all the while, like this is happening. Basically these corrupt cops are chasing Henry and the Freedom Cell to try and apprehend them. Um, so these things really came in handy for the characters to allow them to get away.
Yeah.
And then, like, as far as IRC, that's also mentioned in the character called Warren. He's he's I admire the character. I wanted to give him qualities that, like, people would admire. He's like kind of the punk type of person that he takes action. He doesn't just sit around and complain and stuff. Like, he's like is in charge of a freedom cell. He uses cryptocurrencies, and he's also aware of what's going on with other networks using, like, the IRC chat function. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and IRC is actually what the hashtag Agora IRC chat is still up, and it's I think it's one of the longest running IRC chats out there. I think that's what they've said before. At least it's one of the longest deep web services. But anyway, on that note, do you want to since we've talked about PGP a little bit, do you want to maybe give away a couple books?
yeah, sure, let's do it.
Okay, so. We'll see how this works. So, if you're interested in snagging a free
Okay.
copy, here's what you do: drop a link to your public PGP key or your PGP fingerprint in the live stream chat, and I'll do mine right here. Again, public. Don't drop your private key in there. Don't do that. It's not smart.
Yeah, please
Public
don't.
key. Public key, and the first two that drop their public key in there or their fingerprint, they will get a free copy of BRUSHFIRE. And if you are one of
I
those
know you
folks
have
who
it.
is
You should
unlucky,
drop one in there.
and for those of you who are unlucky and you don't have, or not unlucky, but just unprepared, what are you doing? Then yeah, you can go to libertyunderattack.com/brushfire and pick up a copy and take 10% off using coupon code SELFLIBERATE. And of course, Bitcoin is preferred, accepted and preferred. So we'll see here if we get any. I don't know that. I thought it was a cool idea. It is a cool idea. I think
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Might have to.
It's always out there, right?
We'll have to see. Let's and I did, and I told you in I told you in pre-show. I don't have a backup ready. Like we'll just have to come up with something real quick on the fly. Do these count
Okay.
two keys? Maybe. I guess it's similar. Okay. Well, I guess. Should we just choose a couple of random people? And obviously, we
Yeah, sure.
we only know the people that are that have commented in chat. So if you're here and you haven't commented, make sure you comment. And then I guess Matthew, you want to just pick a couple random people and we'll give them books.
Yeah. Let me see. Is there a way to?
Oh, all right. I guess.
Is there something?
Oh yeah, it's I can shoot you a link, or I suppose I'll send you a link in Skype here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, that's not the right link. Okay. All right. Bear with us here for a moment, and we'll pick the winners of the book. Okay, Chris dropped in. Nice to see you.
Yeah, you can, Shane. Feel free to just pick
Okay, you want
a
me to
couple.
go ahead and pick? All right. So I guess yeah, I'll go. It's yeah, Carpe Diem and guy that comments. If you guys want free copies of BRUSHFIRE, please feel free to send me an email, Shane@libertyunderattack.com, and with mailing address, and I will get that shipped out, and also an email address too. If you want a digital copy, you can send that over as well. So, congratulations.
Yeah, we should keep the PGP offer open though.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll leave it open
cut.
for yes. So you two get the books, if someone doesn't drop a PGP key in here. So.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So, I guess one thing that I was going to do, and I guess this might give some people a few minutes maybe to get a PGP key handy or something. But I could read the first chapter of the book, give them a taste of the dialogue, the characters, things like that. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sweet. Okay. All right. So Ed slammed the door to his cream-colored Oldsmobile that sat idle in the parking lot of the apartment complex. He groaned as he tried to crack his neck. It had never been quite right ever since he bent down to fix Mrs. Nelson's plumbing in 218. He was under the sink for a good 40 minutes that day. Ed really worked hard for the people in this building, sometimes more than he should have. Other than the frequent repairs and nagging tenants, he was for the most part happy with his life. He just wanted to get back up to his apartment and reclaim his lazy boy. All this hustle and commotion with helping Henry and Max escape and evade the police left him feeling exhausted. He hadn't had that much excitement in years, but it was excitement in a good way. It felt like an adventure that had now come to a close. He had a feeling he would never see Henry again and had already started to miss him. He looked back and saw the sun already headed back down in the sky for the day, and then he froze. Tall Man and his right-hand man were back. He saw them in that unforgettable yet ordinary black sedan sitting in the parking lot of the apartment complex. The other man, his sidekick, looked like he was fiddling with something in the driver's seat, while the other tall fellow looked like he was yelling at him. Ed could see his lips moving, and he had an angry look on his face. They hadn't noticed him yet, so he tried not to make any sudden moves. He quickly moved toward the nearby awning by the steps and hid behind the bags of odds and ends he was carrying so they couldn't ID him. It looked like they were too busy playing grab-ass with each other to notice. Once Ed hit the concrete awning, he quickly tiptoed up the steps and then ran toward his apartment. Just when he thought the adventure was over, it started up again, but this time he had a bad feeling about it. If Tall Man and his sidekick were back, there was probably a good reason for it. The last time, the other guy looked like he wanted to kill someone just to do it, just because he could get away with it. I told you, B. Barnaby, whatever the fuck your name is, I told you to follow my lead. Why I even brought you on board is beyond me, Tall Man exclaimed, having a shit fit. I'm sorry, boss, I didn't mean it. Anything you need me to do, just tell me and I'll do it. B looked remorseful like he was a dog, and his master just whacked him with a newspaper. I'm giving you another chance, but I swear to God, one more screw up and I'll drop you off where I found you. Yes, sir, whatever you need, sir, B said. He couldn't go back to his boring life. With Tall Man, he was something. He was superior and above everyone else. I need you to go and do another sweep of the 2 apartments, Henry's and that old bastard's. Do a thorough check and do what you have to do at Henry's apartment, even if that means turning the place over. You got it? Tall Man pulled out a cigarette and let it hang out of his mouth. It wasn't even seconds later that B pulled out his antique Zippo and lit his cigarette for him. Yes, sir, right away, sir. I won't let you down. B spent a few seconds admiring his master. He was so grateful that Tall Man gave him another chance. He was going to do his best and work hard, whatever it took. Now, Tall Man shouted. Yes, sir. B quickly got out of the car, grabbed his cane, and headed towards the complex. B tried to karate kick Henry's apartment door down, but he failed miserably, almost falling down right in view of his master. He didn't want to disappoint him. God damn it, why can't I do anything right? He tried again and was able to kick hard enough. The shoddy door, no match for his size 10.5 Oxfords. It flew open as the steel deadbolt broke through the wooden molding. The place looked the same as the last time they were here a few days ago. Everything seemed untouched, frozen in time. B started rummaging through the unpaid bills, newspapers, and junk mail on Henry's dining room table. It looked like no one sat at the table. It was just a place where he threw shit. B thought that was a shame. He always tried to utilize every space in his house. Even the basement had a purpose. But that's just the type of person B was. He continued rummaging through Henry's garbage while scowling. It was as if he landed on another planet and was looking through a primitive life form's possessions. He felt the sudden urge to raid the fridge for something to drink. Henry still had a leftover tall boy in there. Even though it wasn't B's brand, he quickly popped the top and guzzled it down. There was something refreshing about drinking someone else's beer out of their fridge. He sat down on the couch and took a quick breather. He glanced over at Henry's photos. A trip to Jamaica with a lady friend, family photo with the glass smashed out of it, and a high school photo of him and his mom. B laughed as he tried to remember his own childhood. Some significant events he could hang pictures up of in his life, but he drew a blank. All he could think of was when the jock kids beat him up in high school, shoved him in his locker, and called him a freak. He took another sip and left the can half empty on the side table next to the family photo. Then he proceeded to tear everything apart in a fit of rage. Anything it takes, he thought, as he ransacked the place. B didn't know what he was looking for at this point, but if he didn't find anything, he wasn't going to leave the apartment undamaged. B paused and looked around. Henry's crap was everywhere. Pieces of broken glass from the picture frames crunched under B's feet. Excuse me, sorry. He had caused the maximum amount of violence and destruction and was satisfied for now. He went into Henry's bathroom. It was a small, full bathroom with a bathtub, toilet, and sink, and was standard for most of the apartments in the complex. B put his coat on the ground, emptied all the items out of his pockets, and climbed into the shower. He turned the spigot to cold and stood under the water. Oh, he screamed like a girl. It's cold. He got water everywhere and his clothes were dripping wet. He got out of the shower and left the water running as he slogged through Henry's apartment. His black leather Oxford shoes squeaked as he looked at the space one more time and gave it a salute before walking out. One last hurrah for B. He didn't find anything that would even remotely point towards finding Henry. He figured Henry would probably never stop back at his apartment before going on the run. B believed in what they were doing, in the tall man and in the system. He wanted to be the one to track down Henry so he could make the tall man proud. I'll make you proud, boss. I'll find this guy and make him pay, B thought to himself. If anyone in any of the apartments leading up to the second floor was home or awake, they probably heard the squishing sound of wet clothes and the loud squeaking of damp leather. The squishing and squeaks came up the stairs to the second floor of the complex. B knew precisely where to go next, that old bastard's apartment. He took it slow, like a psycho savoring his kill. Every few seconds, he tapped his antique cane against the ground. A few of the older residents looked through their peepholes and saw a wet, middle-aged man with thinning black hair and a trench coat advancing slowly down the hallway, making an old, matted gray carpet even worse. As he got closer to Ed's apartment, B started yelling. Come out, you old bastard. His 10 police badge hung proudly over his belt loop and dug into his overweight guts. What in the living hell is going on out there? Ed sprung up from his lazy boy and grabbed his robe to cover up his boxers, a pair of old tube socks, and a pit-stained off-white t-shirt. Come out of that box, you old bastard, B kept yelling. He began knocking on Ed's door with the silver metal eagle part of his antique cane, the top part that bees sometimes lead on, not because he had a back or leg problem, but out of sheer laziness. Okay, you better be ready to fight, whoever that is. Rent ain't due for another week. Go back to your apartments, Ed yelled as he grabbed an old Louisville slugger from the compact coat closet. I'm not here for the rent, you old bastard, Bee whispered, leaning against Ed's door. The water trailed down the hall, stopping at a giant puddle, with Bee standing there pacing. Ed looked through the peephole and saw Bee standing there. You again. I told you cops all I know. Please, just go away. Bee began lunging himself against the wooden door. These doors were old and thin and were not going to withstand someone putting their full weight on them. Within 2 or 3 of Bee's full-bodied assaults, the door came flying open to reveal the old bastard armed with a Louisville slugger. Ed took a full swing. The last time he opened up with this bat was on the high school baseball team. For a second, it felt good. Get the hell out of here, you asshole. Get! Ed managed to hit Bee square in the pelvis, and he lunged over in pain. He just stood there in a puddle of water, grabbing himself. Now, I don't want any more trouble. I know you're a cop and whatnot, but if you try to press charges, I'll call your supervisor and tell him what you did to my door. And why the hell are you all wet? Bee picked up his black antique wood cane and then lunged at Ed like he was attempting to sack a quarterback, knocking him back into his apartment. The wooden door was now only held up by one hinge. He started wailing on Ed's face with his leather-gloved fist. That'll show you, you old bastard. Where's Henry? He kept shouting. Ed was on the ground taking Bee's blows. I don't know. Stop beating me, Ed screamed in pain. Bee leaned down. His wet, thinning black hair fell into Ed's face, and he whispered into his right ear. You don't tell me where he is, I'm going to kill you. You hear me, old man? Mister, I don't know, I swear. I told you all I know before. Ed just lay there and was relieved Bee's beating paused for a moment. Bee took the eagle part of his cane and whacked it into Ed's torso like a sledgehammer. Ed started crying, and then all of a sudden he grabbed his chest and started wheezing. It looked like he had a heart attack. Call... What, old man? Call 911, he said as he continued grabbing his chest. No, I'm not going to call anyone, you bastard. Why would I? Ed slowly tried to step towards the old rotary phone on the wall. Bee said, and he whacked Ed's hand with his cane. Ed fell over and started gasping for air and fell down onto his lazy boy. His robe came untied, and Bee watched him die in his boxers and tube socks. Well, that's done, he said, now talking to himself. He pulled Ed's robe closed with his cane, but wasn't showing any decency or civility. Bee was just sick of seeing the old man's flab and hairy body. It was disgusting. He stood there over Ed, scoffing. He couldn't tell us what we wanted to know, so we had to go. The old man's lifeless body just sat there in his lazy boy and looked back at Bee with a cold, blank stare. Bee was anxious to go back to the car and report to his master about all he had done. So, there you have it. The first chapter.
Wow. Yeah.
Of the book. All right.
Yeah,
let's see. Okay. Let's see. Looking back at chat here. Yeah, sweet. Drop those PGP keys, guys. Yes, definitely do. Just finished #Agora. Fantastic. Key size is unfortunately too large for the comment size limit. Okay. Well, I think that's a good excuse.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think we got a PGP winner.
Okay. Nice. All right.
Okay. So
Congrats.
do we want to give a book to Damien and a book to Carpe or Guy that comments? What do you want to do? It's up to you. It's your book. Yeah. Who do you want to win?
Do I get one? Can we give him?
Or I think you're moving your finger over your microphone, possibly.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Yeah. Didn't catch that.
Should we do 2 books or 3? Is it?
Oh,
or just one giveaway?
Oh, we can do. I guess we could do 3. Why could? Hell, I mean, let's see how many people here are commenting. So there's 3, 4 people commented, 5 people commented. Just give them all. You want to give them all free books?
So probably, like you said, definitely
Or
the
those
PGP
3?
one.
Okay, so Damien, Carpe, and the other 2 that we mentioned. Yeah. So Carpe.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that works. 3 books.
Yep.
Cool. Very good. Very good. So, yeah, Carpe, Guy that comments, and Damien, please send me an email, Shane@libertyattack.com, with a shipping address, and I will get them get those mailed out. Again, these are pre-orders. Delivery will be in October. I guess probably 2 weeks from now. Whenever we get the books from KDP. So, very good. Congratulations, guys. Hope you enjoyed the books. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So, I guess I'll turn it back over to you, Matthew. Is there anything else you want to mention about the book? Anything else about the story or the libertarian themes throughout, or I guess any final thoughts?
I think I just wanted to kind of touch a little bit on the themed fiction, just to kind of inspire other writers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I do agree with you that there's not enough of it, and so if you are thinking about pursuing writing something, I would definitely recommend trying to use fiction as a good medium to convey your ideas. I've found that I found that if you tell an interesting story in an interesting way, you can reach people that you might not have reached before. Just through other means of talking or nonfiction. So using a couple characters or just a group of people is definitely a useful way to get your ideas across. So
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, there needs to be more fiction. It's a great medium. If it's a fiction book, if it's just a story, people can be disarmed and you can kind of disseminate ideas without, that typical knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, it's a very very good medium. And yeah, if any of the listeners are considering writing a fiction book, we can help with that too. Love to help. Love to help. So I'll mention again.
yeah.
Pre-order book is available for pre-order right now. Just go to libertyunderattack.com/brushfire, and again take 10% off. Use coupon code SELFLIBERATE. And of course, Bitcoin is accepted and preferred. libertyunderattack.com/brushfire. Definitely pick up a copy. Obviously, I've read through it multiple times. I really enjoy it. Yeah, I think if you're anywhere liberty or freedom oriented, you're really really gonna dig the book. Matt, anything else for the listeners, sir?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. So I hope people enjoy the book and it's well received. I know I had a lot of fun writing it, and so let me know what you guys think. It's definitely been a good time, and then also to recommend that if you are thinking about doing a book or writing a book or something, just always get a hold of Shane. So.
Indeed. Yeah, and yeah, definitely write more. Definitely write more anarchist libertarian fiction. Certainly necessary. So I think that's a good little call to action to close this out. Other than again, libertyunderattack.com/brushfire, coupon code SELFLIBERATE. So it looks like we got another person here, Tim. And let's see, Carpe Diem. I am attempting to write a children's book. Awesome. That's good to hear. We may or may not be working on a children's book right now. May or may not be. Yeah, good to hear. So yeah, do you have anything else, Matt, or good to close out?
Yeah, good to close.
Okay, right on. So thanks a lot for coming, guys. Certainly do appreciate it. And certainly hope you do enjoy the book, and hope you enjoyed the live stream and getting to know Matt a little bit, and his motivations for the book, and also the interesting libertarian themes found throughout. So thanks so much for tuning in. And one more time, libertyunderattack.com/brushfire. And if you do pre-order the book, you get a free digital copy as well. When you pre-order it on the website, put in a valid email address, and I will send the digital copy over to you. I think that's it. Go ahead.
Try to use Bitcoin.
Yes,
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin preferred. Yes, sir. Very good. So thank you, Matt, for joining me, and thank you guys for tuning in. Certainly do appreciate it. And again, I know you'll enjoy the book, but yeah, please do enjoy it. So until next time, laissez-faire.